Am I the asshole for stopping my husband from traveling? Throwaway. For context, my husband loves to travel, and sometimes he even does it solo. We went together in some countries, and it was fun being with him doing so, but I got pregnant over the pandemic. So we sat down to talk about it because it was an accident. I've always wanted a baby anyways, just not this soon, and my husband's reaction was expectedly caught off guard, and he had mixed emotions. We both took it as a sign and wanted to keep the baby, but my husband says he still wants to travel and asked if I'm okay with it. My parents said they wanted to have a grandchild anyways and wanted it so bad that they even said they would watch him while we go out and have fun. Before I was even pregnant, they said this. So I knew my baby would be in good hands if we still travel, so I said yes. We decided to go through with the pregnancy. Fast forward to now. Our baby is 8 months, and my husband is an incredible father. He hasn't been anywhere since the baby was born, but he did occasionally talk about where to go next to travel. I honestly thought at this point that he should stay home and be a father because he's a parent now. He shouldn't be gone even for a day away from our baby. I told him this, and he got a bit upset. He wanted to think things through about this, so he asked for a little mental space to not talk about the subject right now, which I agreed. But then, literally the next day, his college friend contacted him and invited him to a wedding in Taiwan. He told me this and said his friend was the one who helped him go through a lot in his college years and at least give him maybe 4 or 5 days to visit there. I still said no because things changed. My husband exploded and said that I broke the promise I made while I was pregnant. He kept telling me to give the baby to my parents to watch, but I said we wouldn't be responsible parents if we do that. He kept claiming it's responsible because we know the baby will be safe, but I kept arguing back that it doesn't work that way, and I can really take him to court if he wants to abandon the baby. He broke his game system out of anger and has gotten silent afterwards. He only communicated about baby-related things and won't talk to me about anything else. Am I the asshole?
Don't break the game system. That's your escape. What do you mean break the game system? That is a red flag.
Breaking the game system?
That is weird because you're purposely taking something that you take have a lot of joy in probably.
Yeah.
Just like you think it's going to send some message. Sending the wrong message, fella.
Yeah, it's
you know
little anger management issues.
As soon as someone starts throwing shit around and breaking shit, that's where if it were my relationship, I'd be like, no thanks. Okay, back to the story. That was weird to me.
That's anger management issues.
Given the fact that I've never been a parent and I don't know when an acceptable time to take some time away from the baby is. I don't know. I don't know if it's before a year or if really after the first few months, if it's cool to go on a weekend trip and come back and that doesn't really affect too much. I don't know. But just from my gut feeling, I feel like it's getting kind of weird where yes, she definitely agreed to it. And it was kind of like a hypothetical maybe. It wasn't like, yes, we're going on that trip then and here's where we're going. But it was more like, yeah, I'm down to still travel and do things because I think we would, we'd want to go somewhere. So it's kind of I think it's fine to step away. It might be really healthy to get away for a minute. And I don't think it's really going to adversely affect the child or the relationship with the child from a time in their life when they really won't even remember a single thing, especially when you have very trustworthy and willing people to help. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going away for a month.
No.
But you could take a few days off. I think you could take a week off. I don't see anything wrong with that.
You can take a week off.
I see more of a problem in the relationship between you two because there's this weird, not communicating, not doing I'm just seeing a huge disconnect in the relationship.
Yeah.
And the child is what brought it up, but there's something definitely that needs to be worked out.
Absolutely.
I kind of think it's irrelevant of the kid a little bit.
You think it's more just it speaks to them disconnecting?
Well, it's obviously the kid is the focal point of the issue, but it's not hard to work together as a team if you guys are, truly a team and have each other's back to be you know what? Yes, I think a break could be good. And here's this. But if she's really adamant, no, I think we need to be here every day. I don't have the like parent knowledge to say, yeah, I can know what that feels like.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't read any of the comments from this one.
Yeah.
And so when I first read this story to pick it, and I feel like I've had people ask me like, oh, do episodes where you don't read the stories, like do that every time. And it's a little hard, especially when I curate themes. And there's also just like a lot of posts on Reddit that quite frankly aren't good.
Well, and you could get like 2 paragraphs in and be like, and we'd be here for 4 hours.
I've done that before and it's miserable.
Yeah. I mean, one idea could be,
Well, that's episode 100. You guys are finding the stories for me.
See, there we go.
Then I don't have to read any.
Because then they're vetted at least.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't read the comments for this one, but when I was first reading it, like the first time to pick it, I was just like, oh, she pulled a bait and switch. Like she said whatever she wanted to say to have the baby, keep the baby, have her husband stick along with the plan.
Oh, I never.
And then once, the baby's here, it's like, no, you can't travel anymore. If you travel at all for even a day, you are a bad father. That makes us irresponsible parents. And then as I'm reading it just now, I'm like, okay, something bigger might be going on with OP mentally. And sometimes when people experience postpartum depression, they have this like fear that they cannot leave their baby. They cannot leave their baby alone, even with trusted people. If they're not with the baby, something's going to happen to the baby. There's a lot of irrational fears that can come up. And so I'm wondering if, as a new mom, a first-time mom, that maybe there's just some mental health stuff going on here.
That could be. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I'm like, I didn't think about it the first time I read it, but going back now, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm really scared to read the comments on this one because the overall vote is asshole.
See, now I know how I feel every time. You're putting me out on this ledge like, here's a test. Let's see how he does.
Yeah.
And then I have to fumble my way through it and hope that I'm not like totally off.
No, I think you're doing really good this episode.
This episode?
Well, most episodes. Okay. So the top comment on this one, which this one was posted 4 days ago, so still pretty new.
Fresh.
The top comment is, you're the asshole. You threatened to take your husband to court over checks notes, wanting to leave the baby with a babysitter to go to a wedding.
Yeah, that was weird.
Really weird, which makes me even think like OP is literally grasping at straws, just doing anything to keep him home, like something seriously going on.
Yeah.
That's not child abandonment. Also, why can't you stay with the baby and or his parents for 3 days while he goes to a wedding? Next person down. I would have been mad too if my spouse accused me of child abandonment for going to a wedding for a week. Not only accused, but threatened to take to court. I noticed no mention of leaving him though, so what was the point of the threat? Also, OP should look up the definition of child abandonment.
Yeah, see, this is where we have no clue. Like, this is where Matt and Amy could have been like, fuck yeah, you got to get out of there. You can leave right now.
They did.
What are you doing?
Well, and they traveled early. Like
okay, yeah.
I don't think there's a specific time when you can and can't travel after a kid. Like obviously if you are the one that birthed your child, you're going to be healing.
Yeah.
Especially if you had a C-section, which you're going through a lot of layers of stuff, muscle, skin, fat. Like it takes a long time for all of that to heal. And so just depending on where you're at, but I don't think there's like a right timeline, especially like if your baby's on formula, it's a little easier to leave formula behind. But if you're breastfeeding, you can pump milk ahead of time, depending on your supply.
Yeah.
There's things you can do to prepare yourself and your family for watching your baby or a sitter or whatever route you're doing. So I don't think there's a standard of when you can and can't leave your baby.
No, you probably just want to be there like majority of the time, right? To be
obviously,
kind of that parent.
Exactly. And your baby is a formative little stage in life. SIDS is a thing. You want to bond with your baby, like this stuff.
But they're going to be okay if you're gone for a weekend. And then they have a chance to bond with, your parents.
You can go to a wedding. Like,
yes.
You also need space away from your baby. You need to remember the intimacy between you and your partner and your relationship. And you can't just forget about that and just fall completely into the parent role. You're also still a partner.
Yeah.
So take a trip. Go to a wedding, have fun. You have the support, which a lot of people don't have.
Right.
Take advantage of it.
Well, and I realize, as I usually do, I never answer the actual question that's being asked. I just analyze and I never give an answer.
Okay.
With you bringing up kind of maybe the postpartum and the mental health stuff, it's hard to use a word like asshole. You know, you could say, yeah, maybe you're in the wrong, but we don't know your mental state.
Yeah.
So without knowing that, I'm not going to be like, she's an asshole. I mean, it comes off as kind of like, yeah, you're an asshole because you were like, yo, I'm going to like bring you to court and shit. Like that's a little asshole vibes, but it's hard to know because are there edits or updates or anything?
There's a couple comments from OP. Nothing as far as like a formal update, and only 2 responses from what I see. And it's the top one, you're the asshole, you threatened to take your husband over to court over checks notes.
Yeah.
And OP responds, he shouldn't be gone over a day. I can understand local ones for a few hours, but days is too much. He wouldn't be a father figure.
Oh, she's serious.
And people are like, what? Like, wouldn't be a father figure? Deadbeat dads are ones that dip out for like extended periods of time. This is a week for a friend's wedding.
Yeah. Well, think about even non-deadbeat dads that just by nature of their job travel and they're still going to be a great dad. They can still be a perfect dad.
Absolutely. Think about people in the services, the armed forces.
Yeah.
They're gone for months at a time. Some are gone, unfortunately, while their partner's giving birth.
And they can still be great dads.
Exactly. Like, that's not OP.
Something's going on.
The next comment that they respond to is info. Is it a baby or a hostage situation? Why did you change your mind about occasionally putting your baby in the care of relatives or caring for the child solo for a few days? And OP responds and goes, I didn't think of it at the time, but after having the baby, us parents should always be with him.
Are you confused now? Are you kind of like, is it?
No, I think something's it's mental health for me.
Okay.
Intervention is needed.
Not just like a change of heart, like actually like different chemistry. Because that's a big switch. I mean, that's like turning it up to 100.
We can never be apart from the baby. Okay, well, he's going to turn 18 eventually and he's going to want to leave your ass.
That is concerning too, actually.
Like, what do you mean you can't be apart from the baby? And it is scary, like as a new mom. I can imagine, but that's not healthy.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So looking at the comments, Reddit only lets you search what's loaded on the page. But I will say, I am scrolling way down the page. And the first comment that mentions postpartum, at least the way I spelled it, is so far down the page, it has 40 upvotes. Like no one was mentioning it up top.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, my mind didn't go there. Between when you read it and I had the second to think.
Yeah.
My mind didn't go there. So I assume kind of the general public, maybe also the vast majority of Reddit users, who knows, maybe haven't gone through this. I don't know.
I can see that.
I'm just relating like maybe I didn't know and maybe a lot of people that wouldn't be their first thought. Maybe since you've had all the healthcare stuff, so you would be quicker to kind of catch on to something like that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, postpartum depression is like so different for everyone. And I don't even know if it's listed as a common symptom. So I'm like, okay, let me just like look and see if it's a common symptom. And there's like, of course, it's like depressed mood, severe swings, crying too much, difficulty bonding with your baby, withdrawing from family and friends, overwhelming, tired or loss of energy, less interest and pleasure in activities you used to enjoy, fear that you're not a good mother, which kind of translates into that, like this fear of like, no, we'd be irresponsible parents if we left our baby.
It's kind of like the gym people, no days off.
Yeah. And like, you need days off. Severe anxiety or panic attacks. So like, you never know if that's like playing into it, where the anxiety about leaving the baby. So I don't know. It's interesting, but like something is definitely up here that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The comment does end off like, have you been diagnosed with postpartum depression, mental illness, or psychosis of any kind? And then they just like, they have this whole thing that they write out. And then they go, people's lives do not stop for the 18 years it takes to raise a child to adulthood. Normal, good, healthy parents have lives outside of their children.
Yeah.
Please seek counseling.
Yeah.
So I hope an intervention is provided.
You tried to get away from therapy, but there it was.
I know.
Right there.
You can never get away from therapy.
I guess not.
And you shouldn't run from it. If you need it, fucking seek it. Life is so much better with help.
It's been chasing me down for a long time, but it hasn't caught me.
It's going to. We're gonna do couples therapy.
Oh.
I think everyone should do it, especially like in a long-term serious relationship.
No.
Justin, you're Mr. Communicate. You should be preaching therapy.
Well, you know, maybe if I have a lapse in my communication.
Yeah, you think your communication's that good?
No, probably not.
I think therapy is great for everyone.
I mean, you don't have to be the expert in something to give advice on something. So, you know, everyone can mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah.